إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله قال الله عز وجل في القرآن المجيد يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون صدق الله العظيم أما بعد. We begin by praising Allah. We praise Him, we ask for His help, and we seek His forgiveness for all the mistakes we've made. We declare as Muslims that nobody deserves to be worshipped except Allah. And we declare that Muhammad was the last and final messenger that is sent for our guidance and the guidance of all people until the end of time. Now, people have different priorities in life. Every one of us. We all have different priorities. And we think about every single day we wake up, we generally think about what we're going to do. What's my day going to be like? When you're driving to work or you're driving to school, you're thinking, I wonder what's going to happen today. What kind of food am I going to eat? Who am I going to meet? What deadlines will be made or what deadlines will be missed? And it's said that successful people are the ones who know what their priorities really are, and they're actually able to focus on their priorities in life. And they say that's what it determines success. It determines success in your school. It determines success in your career. It determines success in your family, where you give priority to your family members. And it determines success in everything else about life. But if you have your priorities wrong, then you're going to realize that something is wrong in your life. If your computer has a virus, and you take out one of those compressed air cans and you start cleaning the outside and you start removing the dust, you're not focusing on the priority. Your computer is not going to get fixed. It's nice to have a nice clean computer, but you're not focusing on what's needed at the time. If your check engine light on your car is showing and there's some issues going on and you're hearing some noises that you shouldn't be hearing, and you go and take it to a car wash and you go and you put an extra coat of wax on it, your priorities are out of line. So it's very important for anyone to be successful to know what their priorities are, number one, and number two, to make sure that they're actually acting upon the most important things in their life, and then the next most important, and then putting the least important somewhere in the back. So I'm going to say something, and I hope you don't take it personally. Islam is the most important thing in the life of each and every single Muslim. Islam is the most important thing in the life of everyone who claims to be a Muslim. And if you don't realize this, if you don't acknowledge this, if you don't take this seriously, then something is seriously wrong with you and me. If we cannot recognize this, if we cannot prioritize Islam in our lives, something is seriously wrong with us. And this is just a reminder. It's a reminder because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَى تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Remind people. And reminder will benefit people who are true believers. So it's just a reminder, right? Don't take it personally. We live in a world today where we value certain things over others. We value education, we value degrees, we value money, we value power, we value how many connections a person has in their contact list. How many people can help you get certain things done. These things are valued in life. But the reality is that all of these things are not going to help you on the day of judgment, when you and I have to stand alone in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in front of our Creator. And we're going to be asked about what we did in this life. And all the degrees, my degree in computer science, and your degree in physics, and your degree in medicine, and your degree in law is not going to help you. It's not going to do anything for you. The amount of money that's in your bank account, if it sat there and it was not done for something in the cause of Allah, on the Day of Judgment, it's not going to help you. Having your 401k and your IRA and having your, your trust set up and all of these things, none of that is going to help you in any way. And on that day, when we're standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're going to see next to us maybe a simple farmer who we thought is some backward, uneducated simpleton. But that person used to perform his wudu correctly. And that person used to stand up for salah. And that person used to wake up in the morning before Fajr prayer, and he used to pray at night. And he used to recite the Quran. And he's going to be standing next to the person who's a lawyer who read 20 volumes in order to get through law school. But he did not have a few minutes to read the Quran. He did not know how to perform wudu correctly. He did not know how to worship his Lord. He did not recognize that his Lord even deserves some type of priority in his life. And we're going to find that this person is better than this person in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the reality of our religion. This is not something that the clergy or imams are making up. This is something that's part and parcel of our fundamental teaching of our religion. Fundamental teaching of what Islam is. And it's a reminder. It's something that we forget because we have our own priorities in life. And what happens is our priorities become life priorities. And the akhirah, the dunya priorities, the akhirah starts to fizzle in our minds in terms of being a priority and what we need to be focusing on. And what we need to realize is we need to come back to our senses. We need to remember that as Muslims, if we want to get somewhere, we need to aim high. And I'm mentioning this because I'm seeing in our community that many people, there's like a trend of being idle. People don't really have high aspirations, let alone when it comes to dunya things, let alone when it comes to their career or whatever it is. Even that's kind of going down. But when it comes to other things, people are very happy with being ordinary. They just want to be normal. They say, I'm very happy with being a D- Muslim, as long as it gets me just right in, and just give me the one step next to Jannah, and inshallah I'm good. Nobody aims for that. You don't walk into a classroom and aim for a D- if that's a passing grade. You don't walk into your job and say, I'm very happy being at the absolute bottom of the company, and I hope I never get a promotion. I just want to stay exactly where I am. Most people would never have that mentality when it comes to their dunya. But when it comes to their akhirah, people become very content. They're very happy with the absolute bare minimum that needs to be accomplished, if you even make it that far, if you even get that far in the first place. So we have to understand that the first thing we need to adjust in our own mentality is we need to aim high. As they say in America, aim for the stars. In our religion as well, aim for the stars in what you want to be as a Muslim. And one of the things that stops us is this contentment with being happy with exactly where we are. And this should not be the characteristic of a believer. One of the great scholars of Islam, Imam Ibn Ata'Allah Iskandari, he said in a poem, he said, "Suhbatul jahil alladhi lam yarda bi'ilmihi alladhi lam yarda bi nafsihi khayrun laka min suhbatil alim alladhi radiya bi nafsihi." He said that to be a friend or a companion, the companionship of someone who is knowledgeable and they're content with their own status of where they are, their relationship with Allah. It is better, suhbatul jahil, to be a companion, the companionship of someone who's a jahil, someone who is ignorant, but they're not happy with where they are. It's better to be friends with that person than to be friends with someone who is a knowledgeable person, someone who seems like they're a successful person, but they're very content with their own status. They're happy with where they are. There's a difference between someone who is always constantly trying to improve and they know what their true self-worth is. They know where they really stand and they're always trying to improve and they're not happy with where they are. And there's a difference between someone who may achieve something, but they're saying, now the level that I've reached, I can sit back and relax. I'm comfortable, everything is going to be fine. And then he continued and he said, وَأَيُّ عِلْمٍ لِمَنْ رَضِيَ بِنَفْسِهِ. What type of knowledge is there that someone who is content with himself? Someone who's happy with where they are, what kind of knowledge is that? That's not knowledge. That's not understanding. That's not understanding what Islam is really about. And that's what we need to understand. There's no knowledge there. So we need to understand that this is delusion. Ghurur is ghafla. It's not being aware, not understanding what's going on in the world. And once we understand this, once we realize this, then we begin to say, look, I don't want to be an insignificant person. Try to be something in your life. And when I say be something, I don't just mean in this world. Be something, be a person who's valuable in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't aim for something very, very low. Aim for something high. And when you aim for something high, what you're going to realize is that all you need to make it happen is that you make an intention with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You make your niyyah, you make your intention, oh Allah, make me something of value in your eyes. You don't have to tell anyone else. This is between you and your Lord. That's all you have to do. And I know that many people in this room, they were not practicing Muslims at some point in their life. They did not used to come to the masjid. They did not grow up, listening to Islamic lectures or reading books or even having any concern or care about Islam. But somewhere in their life, most likely, somewhere in their life, they went through a circumstance. They went through a situation. And when they went through that situation, that life situation, they called upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They called upon Allah. But their call upon Allah was different than the call upon Allah that happens to most people. When they called upon Allah, they said, oh Allah, I'm in need of you. Oh Allah, help me. Oh Allah, guide me. And there was a level of sincerity. There was a level of desperation inside that call. But if you look at the average call today, we make dua after salah. Oh Allah, forgive me for my sins. Oh Allah, help me be a better Muslim. Oh Allah, help. All of these things, there's no feeling. There's no concentration. It's become like just parroting a few statements. And you wonder why the Muslim ummah is in the situation that it's in right now. Because you can have large numbers. We can have 1.7 billion people and we can boast about it and say, according to the Pew Research Institute, we have 1.7 billion followers. Alhamdulillah. But at the same time, what value is that? What value is that if all those du'as, if all those prayers, the value, the actual quality of them has reduced, is not at the standard that it's supposed to be? That's something that we need to look back and we need to question ourselves and say, well, what's going on? How did we get here? And how do we get out of this? Now, it's not an easy thing to do. But there's a statement that one person made. He said, you need to put your mind at ease and you need to learn how to swim. You need to relax and you need to learn how to swim. What does that mean? It means that if you want to learn how to swim, those of you who know how to swim, you know that once you get in the water, if you start panicking and moving all around, you're going to start sinking down. Especially when they teach you how to do back float or front float or whatever the floats are. If you panic and you start moving, you're going to realize that you start going down. But once you learn to become calm, that's when you learn to swim, you learn to float. So what's going to happen is Allah tries each and every single one of us. Allah has tested every single one of us and He's going to test us more because that's part of life. We're going to go through circumstances. Some of you will lose your job. Some of you might lose your home. Some of you might lose your spouse. Some of you might lose your children. Some of you might lose your parents. Some of you might get hit by an illness. These are all tests. But what are we supposed to do? How do we get through it? It says you learn to be calm and you learn how to swim. Meaning you get through it. It takes time. It takes patience, but it takes a certain attitude. And if you want to be something, you have to put in the effort. You have to put in the work, but you need to realize that it comes with patience. There's no quick results. When it comes to fitness and exercise, to use a material example that people can relate to, how many people, the amount of diet plans that are sold in this country, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. But do you know what the success rate of all those diet plans are? It's less than 10%. Less than 10%. All the people who are on diets and this program, and they buy this product and they say, buy this and everything's going to be fine, and you watch the person and they're doing the jumping jacks in front of you and you're thinking, yeah, this is awesome, but you're still sitting on the sofa watching the jumping jacks because you're not doing them actually. And then what ends up happening? 90% of people doesn't do anything for them because they're not moving. They're not actually putting in the work. So this is what happens. This is the reality. If you want results, if you want to be something in your life, if you want to be a better Muslim, you put in the results, you put in the effort, you put in the sincerity, and I guarantee you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open a path for you. But the first step after the intention is having the effort, putting the effort in, and having a high goal. I know a lot of people, quite a few of you, you've come to me and say, Shaykh, how can I become a better Muslim? You come back after a trip for Umrah. You come back after a trip to Hajj. You say, how do we maintain that? Well, the first thing is that you have to be willing to put in the effort. You have to be willing to put in some of the hard work that's required. All you need is sincerity and you need hard work, and I guarantee you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will open up for you something. There will be an opening for you. It's called fath. There will be an opening for you, and all of a sudden, you will get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you won't take that step, there's not going to be anything. Nothing is going to happen for you. Because so many people, they don't have that zeal, they don't have that motivation. They fall into complaint mode. Now speaking of Mecca, those of you who've been to Mecca, you've seen when you're going tawaf around the Kaaba, and you're in Hajj or you're in Umrah or wherever you may be, you see people from all around the world, Muslims from all around the world. And you see in that audience, you see, tell me or not, if it's not true, those who just went for Hajj and came back, you see old women, 90 years old, with a stick, and they're walking, barely walking. They're holding on to either their son, or they're holding on to their husband, and they're barely making it around the Kaaba. They can barely move. And then you see the other people in the air-conditioned hotel room, the air-conditioned bus, and they're complaining because they ran out of chicken and there's only beef left, or something like that. There's a difference. The difference in mentality. There are people who save up their entire life, their whole life savings, so that they can go for that Hajj one time. And there are other people who have millions sitting in the bank and they're not willing to spend that small amount to go and take the journey. This is not comfortable enough for them. There's a difference in himma, what's called himma. Himma aliyah, means that you aim high, that you're willing to put in effort and you want to do something, and you have the mentality and the effort that you want to achieve something. That's what makes or breaks people, even in this world. You look at all the people who are successful, even from a dunyawi perspective, from a worldly perspective. What differentiates them primarily from others is that they have the drive, as they say. They have the zeal, they have the drive, they want to achieve something. If you want to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you need to have that drive. And there's a lot to accomplish. There's a lot to achieve. And I'll leave you with this statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said in an authentic hadith, he said, حُفَّتِ الْجَنَّةُ بِالْمَكَارِهِ. He says that paradise is surrounded by things which are disliked. Meaning things which are not very comfortable, with discomforts. وَحُفَّتِ النَّارُ بِالشَّهَوَاتِ. And the fire, the hellfire, it's surrounded with desires. Meaning if you want to get to paradise, you have to cross certain barriers, you have to cross certain obstacles. And those obstacles, they don't feel good. They're not always going to feel good. Islam is an easy religion, but it doesn't always feel good. You have to adjust your mentality and you have to say, I'm going to aim high in order to get somewhere, to get to paradise. But if you want to go in the other direction, which may Allah protect us, we don't. That's surrounded by desires and things that you're going to enjoy and things that you're going to have fun with. And you just enjoy yourself, but that's going to lead you down a different path. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us. Astaghfirullah li wa lakum wa li sa'ilil muslimin fastaghfiruhu innahu huwal ghafurur rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ba'd. We talked about the importance of aiming high today. We talked about what are some things that prevent us from moving forward. You should always keep these things in mind, and I'll mention one last hadith before we conclude, that Jibril, the angel, came to the Prophet ﷺ, and he said, فَأَخْبِرْنِي عَنِ الْإِحْسَانِ. Tell me about excellence. What is the definition? What does excellence in Islam mean? And Jibril responded, or the Prophet ﷺ responded, and he said, أَن تَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ كَأَنَّكَ تَرَاهُ. Is that you worship Allah as if you can see Him. You cannot see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's part of the test of faith. We have good rational grounds for believing in Allah, but you cannot see Him. And you are supposed to be worshiping. The highest state of worship is to be able to worship Allah as if you see Him, as if He's right there. And then he said, and if you cannot see Him, because you cannot, then know that He sees you. Know that He sees you. That's the limit. That's the highest level of prayer that we could possibly get to. The way that we worship Allah, it should be to that level. That doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen over a year. In fact, it will take an entire lifetime to get to that level. And I can tell you, I'm not at that level, and probably very few are at that level. That's why ihsan was the definition of excellence. It gave a goal. The Prophet ﷺ defined, here's a goal that every believer should try to strive to get to at some point in their life. But it's not an easy to reach goal. But if you have the himmah, you have the drive to want to get there, then inshallah ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open something for you, and you will reach that goal eventually with His help. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to increase us in our faith. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from the temptations in this life. We ask Allah help us and guide us at all times. O Allah, help those families who are going through difficulties. O Allah, help those people who are suffering. O Allah, help us to do only that which would please You, and keep us away from doing anything which would displease You. O Allah, help us and guide us at all times, and only take away our lives when we're ready to die in a state of true faith. Ameen. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamun ala al-mursaleen. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. We have two announcements today. There's a Friday family night, which is a tafsir of different surahs of the Quran with Dr. Imad Ba'youn. So he's going to be doing a Quran study, Quran explanation circle. And then we have the IAOC annual picnic this Sunday. It's going to be in the daytime. It's going to be at Yorba Regional Park. And today is the last day that you can buy tickets for this. So it's really important. Support, your local community, IAOC. Bring the whole family. Tickets are on sale outside in the lobby. You need to buy your ticket before you go to the picnic on Sunday, inshallah ta'ala. So that's going to be from about 12 to 6. And you can get more details inside the lobby, inshallah. Wa qimus salah.